You know that moment where your entire body wants to say no? No, I can't. No, I don't have time. No, I'm not okay with this. But instead, out comes a quick, automatic, sure, I'll do it. You wonder why it's so hard to just say no when you know it's the right answer? The problem is, the words are easy, but the emotions behind them can be overwhelming. Because saying no doesn't just feel like rejecting a task, it feels like rejecting a person. It feels like rejecting love, approval, and connection. This is Inner Archive. Today we're opening the file on the psychology of people who can't say no. The need to always say yes starts early in life. Maybe, as a child, you learned that when you said no, there was a consequence. Maybe it wasn't dramatic, but you felt the coldness in a parent's gaze, or heard a soft sigh of disappointment. Maybe they never said thank you or good job when you did something for them. You learned that by saying yes, you kept things peaceful. You learned that if you could please them, you could control the environment around you. You became the reliable child, the responsible one, the one who could always be counted on. But what happens when you can't say no? When saying yes every time costs you your time, energy, and mental health? For people who can't say no, the answer isn't as simple as just set boundaries. It's a complex web of old patterns, fears, and emotional conditioning. Saying yes feels safer than facing the anxiety of saying no. There's a belief that if you say no, people will be disappointed in you, or worse, they will leave. It's the fear that if you don't please others, you will be abandoned. This isn't always logical, but it feels true. When we avoid saying no, we are protecting ourselves from emotional risk. So how do you end up in this cycle of saying yes when you really mean no? Let's go back to childhood. When you grew up in an environment where love and approval were conditional, the need to please became a survival mechanism. It might not have been overt abuse or neglect, but the small things add up. The way your parents always seemed busy. The way they praised you for getting things right, but rarely noticed when you felt overwhelmed. The way they would reward you for doing something for them, but never acknowledged your own struggles. You started to believe that your worth was tied to how much you could do for others. As a result, you grew up with a deep fear of rejection, and that fear fueled the need to say yes to everything. It might look like kindness to the outside world, but inside it's often resentment waiting to bubble up. You say yes but feel bitter. You say yes, but your energy drains. You say yes, but your needs get lost in the process. And even when people don't directly demand something, you feel an internal pressure to say yes. It could be from the weight of social norms, expectations, or the fear that if you don't comply, you will be forgotten. The underlying belief is, if I say no, they will leave me. If I say no, I am not lovable. But here's the thing. By saying yes to everyone else, you end up saying no to yourself, to your health, to your time, to your peace, and eventually, to your sense of self-worth. Because if you are constantly putting others first, you start to believe that your own needs don't matter. People who can't say no often become the emotional caretakers of their friends, family, and coworkers. They're always the one who picks up the phone when someone needs to vent. They are the ones who take on extra work to help others. They are the ones who agree to plans even when they're exhausted. But behind the smile, they're burning out. They feel invisible because their own needs are constantly pushed aside. They feel resentful because no one seems to notice how much they give. Eventually, something cracks. You hit a breaking point. Maybe it's small, maybe it's big. But eventually you realize that saying yes has cost you too much. And now you feel angry with yourself for allowing it to happen. And more than that, you feel lost. Who are you if you aren't the person who says yes? What happens to your relationships when you start saying no? Learning to say no is about more than just creating boundaries. It's about healing old wounds. It's about learning that you are worthy of love, attention, and care without needing to please everyone around you. It's about realizing that you don't have to carry everyone else's emotional burdens. It's about embracing the fact that your needs are just as important as anyone else's, but it's hard. Saying no feels like breaking an invisible contract that's been in place your entire life. But it's also one of the most powerful things you can do for your well-being. Here's where you start. Start by practicing small. Start by saying no to the things that are least important. It could be saying no to an extra task at work, saying no to plans when you're too tired, saying no to something you don't want to do. Simply because it's okay to put yourself first, and when you do, notice the guilt. Notice the inner voice telling you that you're being selfish, and notice that the world doesn't fall apart when you say no. In fact, you might find that the people who love you respect your boundaries more than you thought. You might also find that those who truly care about you don't expect you to be at their service all the time. It's not about becoming cold or detached. It's about taking care of yourself so you can actually show up for others in a more authentic, healthy way. Start small. Say no when you need to, and see how it feels to finally start choosing yourself.